Hazrat Masih Maud acknowledged three types of jihad. Jihad-e-Akbar, or the greatest jihad, was the jihad to purify one's inner self. Jihad-e-Asghar, or the lesser jihad, was a jihad of physical self-defense. Finally, Jihad-e-Kabir, or the great jihad, was a jihad to propagate the truth of Islam through the Quran. Hazrat Masih Maud defined Kalami jihad as a vital component of Jihad-e-Kabir, the only jihad in his view that was necessary to withstand the intellectual attacks on Islam in the 19th and 20th centuries. Indeed, his philosophy embodied the beautiful hadith of Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The ink of the scholar is holier than the blood of the martyr. In Islam's defense, Hazrat Masih Maud used the very weapon his opponents used, the pen. Indeed, the Quran alludes to this intellectual weapon in the verse I recited at the beginning of my speech, Noon wal qalami wa ma yasturun, ma anta bi ni'mati rabbika bi majnun. By the inkstand and by the pen and by that which they write, thou art not, you, Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, are not, by the grace of Allah, a madman. Now, having briefly explained the concept of jihad of the pen, let me now turn to how Hazrat Masih Maud practically waged this jihad during his life, part 2 of my speech. Hazrat Masih Maud's entire life was dedicated to silencing Islam's opponents through the written word. In a span of 26 years, from 1882 to 1908, he wrote over 80 books. He responded to Christians, Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, Jews, and Buddhists. He wrote in Urdu, Persian, and Arabic. He wrote about every major facet of Islam and responded to every major criticism against Islam. Between 1882 and 1890, Hazrat Masih Maud responded to 90,000 letters, 1,000 letters a month, over 30 letters a day, all in defense of Islam. He was a vigorous and prolific writer, and his work received wide-ranging critical acclaim. Even his bitterest enemy, Maulvi Muhammad Hussain of Batala, leader of the Ahl Hadith sect of Islam, had this to say about Hazrat Masih Maud's writings. Quote, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad has proved himself so steadfast in the service of Islam through his pen that few instances are to be found among the Muslims. Nihatus Sunnah, Volume 7, number 6 through 11. Indeed, as the ultimate sign of the strength of his commitment to jihad by the pen, Hazrat Masih Maud himself was told by Allah Ta'ala in a revelation on June 17, 1901, Allah Ta'ala ne is ajiz ka naam, Allah Ta'ala ne is ajiz ka naam Sultanul Qalam rakha, aur mere kalam ko Zulfikar Ali farmaya. Allah has named me Sultanul Qalam, the king of pens, and has called my pen the Zulfikar Ali, the sword of Ali. Al-Hakam, Volume 5, number 22, page 2. In the short time that's been given to me, I cannot possibly do justice to the depth of Hazrat Masih Maud's Kalami Jihad. But before this USA Jalsa Salana gathering, I feel it important to describe his seminal defense of Islam here in America. Many of you are familiar with his famous prayer duel, or Mubahila, with Dr. John Alexander Dowie of Zion, Illinois. But what many of you might not know about this prophecy is the remarkable manner in which Hazrat Masih Maud publicized his challenge to Dr. Dowie in American newspapers. Hazrat Masih Maud hand-wrote a detailed explanation of his challenge for the American press at large. 32 American newspapers used Hazrat Masih Maud's explanation as a basis to publish their own editorials. Hazrat Masih Maud himself meticulously noted the full citations of each of these newspapers on pages 505 through 508 of Haqiqatul Wahi. In 2000, I was assigned as part of a team to retrieve these 32 newspaper articles for the Messiah 2000 conference in Zion. But with all the technology at our disposal. And with the luxury of hindsight, we only could find 18 of these 32 newspaper articles. We still could not fully retrace the steps taken by Hazrat Masih Maud over a century ago, our beloved Sultan al-Qalam. A solitary man living in the remote village of Qadian would walk 11 miles on a dirt track studded with potholes to get to the nearest railway station from Qadian. He would then take that rail 24 miles to Amritsar, and he would send his written work, his letters, his articles, his books, carrying it in his hand. He would mail it by post to America. Day and night, he would not rest until he saw the complete mass production of his written defenses of Islam. Such were the unparalleled efforts of the founder of our community. And this, my dear friends, was his sublime jihad of the pen.